Good evening and welcome to this public meeting under the Planning Act, the zoning bylaw amendment. I'd like to call the meeting to order, 6:33, and note that members of council present. Councillor Reese is absent with reason. Approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Chasson. Resolved that the agenda for the public meeting under the Planning Act scheduled for Tuesday, June 1st, 2021 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Announcements. Sorry, declaration of community interest and general nature thereof. Being none, move to announcements. I'd just like to say that it's good to see councillors back in chambers and having our meetings together in the chambers. It's so much more effective. Under new business, 5.1 temporary zoning bylaw amendment, Wawa Motor Inn seasonal RV campground. Let's go to the script. So this is a public meeting under section 34 of the Planning Act for a zoning bylaw amendment. The purpose of the proposed zoning amendment is to rezone lands described as 118 Mission Road, MCSSM 10524 PT, RP AR 49, Part 1, PCL 7591 AWS, Part 1, PCL 4633 AWS, located in the municipality of Wawa in the district of Algoma. The proposed zoning amendment would be to permit an exception to the urban highway commercial C2 designation on the property to add seasonal RV campground park as a permitted use. The owner proposed to develop up to 12 recreational vehicle RV sites on the Wawa Motor Inn property immediately south of the south entrance. Each of the sites would be provided with pipe water and electrical services. The RV sites would be available on a daily rental basis, and 6 sites will be parallel to Mission Road on one side of an internal driveway and 5 more sites on the west side of the driveway. It is noted that in order to appeal any decision of council to the Ontario Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, the appellant must have outlined comments or concerns at the public meeting or submitted comments and concerns to council in writing. Would the clerk please confirm that proper notice of the zoning bylaw amendment has been issued and if any written comments received?
Notice of the public meeting was mailed to property owners within 120-meter radius of the subject land and to all persons and public bodies as prescribed under Ontario Planning Act Regulation number 545/06. Further, the notice was posted on the subject property on May 17, 2001, and the notice was clearly visible from the roadway on Mission Road, Highway 101. As of this date, 1 written submission was received from the Algoma Public Health. The letter is dated May 27, 2021, and reads as follows. It's addressed to the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa. Algoma Public Health has no objections to amend the zoning bylaw number 2821-15 for the application applying to the Wawa Motor Inn, 118 Mission Road, Wawa, Ontario. If there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me at, she provides her telephone number for Healthier Communities. Mariah Trombley, Public Health Inspector.
Thank you. The CEO wish to speak now or after?
If you continue with the script.
Okay, and then we'll do.
Yeah, so
Council
it
then,
will not
okay.
be the applicant.
I'll now ask the applicant or the representative if they wish to speak to their application. If anyone from the Wawa Motor wishes to speak, please state their name and title with the Wawa Motor Inn.
Ron Ouellette, General Manager of the Wawa Motor Inn. Good evening, everybody.
Council, you have council's attention.
Good evening, everybody, and I'm glad to see everybody in council again. I had the opportunity to meet with several of you in the past week, and we had some good communication, and I showed you around the property and I showed you around the inside of what we've done. I think this would be a great asset to Wawa, and I just hope everybody agrees with our thoughts, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Ron. Does any member of council have any questions for the applicant at this time?
I've got concerns if I may.
Yes?
Okay, I've got lots of concerns. Let me turn this on. You hear now?
Yes, you're coming through.
Concern number one is the application has to go with the COME according to their rules. And they are the governing body of all sewers, water that goes with that. Number two, from the people I spoke, there's gonna be a RV campground right next to the road. And they'll come in about 11 o'clock at night, probably leave early in the morning with no input or no good reasons to come in town. They're gone. That's overnight camping. And number three, the traffic jams that's going to end up in that road is going to take place. Now, the people come in town now, they call them the Walmart parkers. They come in, they park anywhere they could, but they're not going to pay. Then they say, I hear that he's going to go over to dump the sewage underneath the yonks. Well, under that system upgrade, the COME is not going to take it, and it's going to cost her a lot of money to upgrade that system. That's the COME is the worst, and I'm here to protect the health and safety of all our people that's walking down there, jogging down there, biking down there, and all the workers that walks that road to come home from their jobs. They encounter one bear, and they say, oh, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen because the bears are coming to the road, they leave their young ones behind, and if you get between them, who's going to be sued? We are. So I'm dead against this proposal at this time until I hear more from the COME and more planning from more people and what's going on, the electrical, the water and sewer that's going in there. And that's the biggest issues I have, is to care for our people in this town. I thank you for that.
Thank you, Bill. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Tate?
Can I address Councillor Chason? What is the COME?
They control all the water and sewer of all RV parks all over Canada, or Ontario right now. They'll come in and see if the septic systems, the system's gonna hold the sewage stuff. If it doesn't hold, they're not gonna let it go.
Well, the reason why I asked is because he's going to have only 10 to 12 lots.
Then
And he's not going to have sewer on that lot. It's going to be dumped into a proper sewage disposal area.
Okay, the proper sewage proposal area, and I hear they made a deal with Anita. Anita has to upgrade that sewage disposal at her house to handle the load of sewage. And I don't think it's not gonna handle it according to the people I spoke with in the township. The system's not gonna handle it.
Okay, I can't speak to if they'll handle that because we'd have to get a report from staff on that one.
At this time, I say that we should go back to the drawing board and do something to do this, that we don't get caught into a system where it's gonna cost us. And right now, there's no benefit to it. The store owners uptown or anywhere because they're here today at night and they're gone early in the morning. So there's no benefit to nobody else but the wrong water.
Well,
But I was just gonna say that you really can't necessarily make that assumption. That's totally assumption. I mean, the same thing can happen. Someone drives in a car, takes a room and gets up in the morning and leaves. Some will stay, some will leave. And the same thing, trillion number of people. I mean, I don't think we'll see that full every night of the week. It'd be nice if it was, but at the same time, how do you control how many trailers drive up from Sault Ste. Marie or down from Thunder Bay and stop and empty their sewage tanks. I mean, there's no control of that. One week you could get 40 or 50, and the next week you can get 5 or 10. So like to make the assumptions that just creating this park is gonna turn this whole system upside down that's been operating for years, I haven't heard of any concerns or any breakdowns of the system where they're dumping, their sewage there. So, and I would imagine, Bill, too, if once approval is given, that as it works through it, all of these inspections will take place, as you mentioned, as the park is developed. Right, Councilor?
Just to that point, I dumped my trailer at Young's, and I've been in line 4 or 5 trailers to get dumped, and we've had no issues. And also, my trailer, I have an RV trailer, it has 2 bikes and a bike rack on the back of it. And if you look at just about every trailer, they have bicycles on the back. And with our bike lanes and all our additions to Mission Road, I think they will actually visit the downtown and the beach area. Because a lot of them are outside, like activists, like people that like the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, Councilor Tate, this is an overnight parking system, not a 2-day parking system. So you have to take that into consideration, that they're here tonight or on tomorrow morning.
But most people come off the highway in a 4 to 5 o'clock range.
They go in RV stations. Does anybody speak with Peter Moore about what's going to happen to his post down there? How it's going to impact this place?
Personally, I don't know. I didn't see any study on that, but I know that they're full all the time, and I don't think 10 to 11 RV spots are going to impact them drastically, personally. That's only my personal feelings.
My personal thought on that is not my personal thought. My personal thought here is strictly for the safety and welfare of our citizens that watch that road, okay? Every night, or they go down for ice cream, and I'll have to explain a little better here. The bears are there. I talked with Alan, but they're in the backwoods. Your bears are at Tim Hortons, but they're staying at Wood Edge. Now you're introducing to the road. Now the bears are gonna cross the road, they try to get to, if they're barbecuing, they're gonna smell it. Anybody that's caught in between it is gonna get hurt. Who's responsible?
Can I speak to that? Because I have a shout.
Just a second, Ron, I'll let you, I'll just let Bill finish.
Okay, sorry.
And what bears do, then you gotta go back to school and learn all about bear behavior. They're gonna be taking pictures, someone's gonna get hurt. Who's gonna be sued? Broadway Township, not the Broadway Mortar. So if you guys wanna take that into consideration, go right ahead. What voted on, I go by. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I'm just on Google here, and I'm looking at my chalet 238, okay? And if I measure from 238 to Tim Hortons parking lot, it's 69 meters. What is the difference if the bear is on my parking lot at 238 or the bear is in the other property? It's only meters away, Bill. I don't think that's gonna be an issue that is going to be a problem. We haven't had problems with bears on our parking lot. We don't leave garbage laying around. We keep everything very clean. There will be dumpster in an area. It'll be surveyed. I keep security on all night. So I don't think the bear issue is going to be as drastic. And I'm not saying it can't happen. It can happen. It could happen tonight. Coming from one of my cabins, somebody cooking fish or doing whatever. They're just meters away from Tim Hortons. That it might seem like a long distance, but it's not very far. It'll actually, my 238 cabin is closer to Tim Hortons than what my RV park will.
And that note, Ron, that you're saying that these campers are gonna come in, they're gonna use our barbecues. And there, it's not up to 4 miles. And I say, are you gonna put the people of Wawa in jeopardy with bears coming into the property, or they take pictures and get hurt? Who's gonna be responsible? they gonna take the responsibility of anybody getting hurt or killed?
If they get hurt on our property, we would assume whatever responsibility we need to at the time. But right now, nobody's ever been attacked by a bear in Walla, and we live amongst them all the time. And like I said, I got 8 cabins that are just as close as my RV park are going to be to that. And we have no problems, and they cook fish. They barbecue outside every night. It's not something that's a problem right now.
Well, my biggest fear is you say you think, I don't think. I want to be sure our people in Walla are safe from all aspects of unsafe with wildlife. We did it last winter with the wolves and coyotes in town. We get somebody on it all the time.
Well, talking, if we're going to talk, if we talk safety, they're going to be safer walking through my RV park than they're going to be on the highway. I don't stop anybody from using our property to access Timmy's right now, and nobody's ever got attacked by a bear. And I mean, like I said, it's not going to be full every night, and it may be, but I mean, that's camping, and that's just the way an RV park works. And there's RV parks outside Sault Ste. Marie. There's one outside of Spanish. There's one all along different towns. There's RV parks, and we don't seem to have any problem.
They have RV parks, but not sitting next to the highway.
Okay, I'm going to, I think we've had plenty of time to make our points. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Bill. We do have a report from our planner, and CEO is going to represent the planner and present that to us.
Thank you, Mayor. And Council's been shared a report from Bob Lehman, who is a professional registered planner. He actually wrote the municipal zoning bylaw back in 1985 and our official plan, so he's familiar with Wawa, and he practices planning still today. He has submitted a report that I had asked him to assist me with, and he reviewed the applications from the Wawa Motor Inn to develop an RV park housing 10 to 12 RV sites at the hotel property at 118 Mission Road. His recommendation is as follows: to have council approve the motion to approve the application submitted by the Wawa Motor Inn for rezoning part of the property at 118 Mission Road to be modified to be rezoned to commercial highway with an exception. That exception would permit the owner to develop an RV park for a maximum of 15 RVs. As part of that approval of rezoning bylaw, the property is located in a site plan control area. So that if the zoning was approved, the owner would be required to enter into a site plan agreement with the municipality. And as the planner sets out, that site plan, until it's agreed to, the owner could not develop anything. And some of the things that are covered in a site plan agreement as per the municipal and provincial laws are that we can require setbacks from the highway to the RV park campsites. We would ensure that each recreational vehicle site and access driveway would have a hard surface, such as packed crushed stone, gravel, or paved asphalt, and that's to make sure that dust is kept to a minimum. The recreational vehicle sites will be of a sufficient size and separated from others by a minimum of 1.5 meters or approximately 4 feet. There'd be appropriate fencing and or landscaping to be determined, the municipality working with the owner, which would act as a barrier between the RV park and Mission Road. Any building or structure on the site would be set back 26 meters from the center line of the highway. Any signage would be of design and height to enhance the gateway and the appearance of the property to the visitors in the community. There'd be sufficient turning radii provided for vehicles entering the property and accessing the park off Mission Road. And of course, appropriate garbage disposal facilities for the RV park would be provided on site and screened. In addition to that, in the site plan agreement, the municipality would set out the requirements for the use of municipal water and municipal sewer. I'm not familiar with the CUM organization that Councillor Shea is all referring to, but the Algoma Health Unit regulates the use of water and sewer in the municipality when you're not connected to services. But in this case, the property is able to connect to municipal services. So in our agreement, we would set out how and when and the quantities that would be acceptable to connect these sites to our water and sewer system. We have a certificate of approval for our sewer system, and the MOE has reviewed this application and has no concerns. As well, I would add that the MTO in a verbal conversation has advised me and has advised Mr. Ouellette that the MTO has no objection and is not requesting a traffic study for this facility. This highway in front of the Wawa Motor is in the MTO jurisdiction. It is outside our connecting link and our responsibility. So if the MTO had concerns with traffic safety, volume of traffic, they would require the owner to have a traffic study prior to determining their stand on the issue. Those are the things that'll be set out in the site plan agreement, including garbage disposal and that the garbage is kept safe and removed so as not to create any type of hazard. The planner also goes on that the sites would be provided with piped water electrical power. Any electrical power provided to the site they must obtain a permit from Algoma Power, and Algoma Power supervises and approves or disapproves the power if any additional capacity is required on their lines. Otherwise, the owner will be required to get an electrical permit with the Ontario Safety Association, Electrical Association, and hire appropriate trained electrician to do the work. Those things, including how the facilities are set out, would be in the site plan control, but also they're somewhat managed and controlled by an Ontario building permit. There'd be no new driveway to access the site off Mission Road. The planner looked at our official plan and policies within our planning documents, like the official plan and the municipal zoning bylaw, and essentially sets out for council that there are several criterias and paragraphs within these planning documents that also lead to supporting the approval of the application. But certainly there would be incorporated fencing and planting adjacent to Mission Road to screen the RV park from the traveling public, which would act also as a sound barrier to some degree. Appropriate landscaping and fencing would be a site plan condition. So the planner is essentially recommending approval to council of this zoning specific request, where we would add to this site only on the highway commercial zoning designation a star 100, which would mean on this site, and I think Kathy was going to put up the map, in the area outlined in red, that's where the C2 100 designation would apply to. It wouldn't apply to the entire property. The RV park would be restricted to this location. I would have to do some research on the association you mentioned, Mr. Councillor Chasson. I'm not aware of them. From my quick search on my internet, I see they play a role in provincial parks, but I'm not sure how that would impact, and no one's ever brought that association rules to my attention, but certainly we can check into it if council requests. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Ms. O'Neill at this time? Member of council? Yes, Councillor Chasson?
One tax rate there asked me a question is that this park going in at this time with the COVID has not even over. Is that a good idea or not? Because we get people from all over places. And that was one of the first questions. I said, I have to bring it up to council because I really can't answer that.
According to the provincial regulations regarding COVID, and in fact that we've entered into phase 1 and the trend appears that we'll be entering into phase 2, there's appropriate distancing. There'll be more than 6 feet in between each trailer. You know, we'll encourage people to wear masks so that people are getting their first and second injection. You know, we think that people are much safer. There's nothing in the provincial regulations that would indicate that COVID and the pandemic should prohibit this park. Certainly there would be opinions on whether a park is appropriate for Wawa. But from a planning perspective, in terms of the planner looking at the impact on traffic, the impact on the land use, the proposed impact on the community from planning perspective, he approves the application. There are some, Bill, in the community that would say we need additional RV parking spaces because as I've received several complaints and shared with council over the past couple of years, there was an increase during this time, the last couple of years, of RVs and people camping on municipal property where they're not supposed to be. But because most of the Superior Park locations were booked or full and the motels were full, some of the public had nowhere else to stay but on our roadway. So there are some opinions whether it's good or bad for the community. But from my perspective, it's assisting the Wawa Motor Inn to address some of the clients they're receiving already and trying to accommodate. So it can be a benefit to this business and to the community.
I can see, being a benefit to the community when there's an overnight parking system and they're gone, they come in late at night, they got early in the morning. If there was a RV park where you can park all day, it might benefit our town by all means, I support it. But for just overnight, I don't think it's a benefit our town. But
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Yes, Ron, go ahead.
In the application, we never specified it was only going to be for one night only. We said one night up to a week. It's not going to be a seasonal park. We never said anything about it won't be. Somebody wants to get married in Wawa and they want to come in and they're going to have an overnight for 2 or 3 nights. I'm not going to tell them they can't. It could be, a wedding on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, but it's not a one night thing. And I want to make that clear because it's, I'm not going to be a seasonal park. I guarantee you that, but it might be one night, 2 nights. People want to enjoy the community. This is what we're all about, and tourism. And to tell them, oh no, you can only stay that one night, that's silly. So like we're planning on a 1 night to 7 nights. Most likely it'll be 1 night, but I just want to make that clear that we're not specifying 1 night. It's not a seasonal park by no means, but it won't be just 1 night. I don't want to be a slum park. I mean, we keep our property very well kept, and that's the way it'll be. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Ron. Are there any further comments? Council will consider all matters placed before us prior to coming to a decision on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. This public meeting is now over. Thank you for your attendance. I believe it will be coming up in 13.3 in the regular. So this meeting is over at 7:01. Do we have a resolution to close?
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the meeting close at 7:01 p.m.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. So the decision will be made in the regular. We'll now call the corporate planning meeting to order at 7:02. Note members of council present. Councilor Reese is absent with reason. Any-
Does Ron understand that there will be no decision made till later on?
I just mentioned it.
Oh, he looked like he was confused.
Okay. So Ron, the decision on the zoning amendment is in part of our regular meeting coming up in the zoning, in the bylaws. So that'll probably happen in about an hour or so.
All right, so I don't need to be here anymore.
You don't need to be here. You can call tomorrow and get the results if you want.
No, that's fine. I have faith in everybody, and thanks for your time and consideration. Have a good day.
The disclosure of pecuniary interests, seeing none. Approval of the agenda. If I can have Councillor Hatfield move that we approve the agenda. All in favor? Carried. There's no delegation or presentation. Adoption minutes. Councillor Tate move that we adopt the minutes of June 1st, 2021. All in favor? Carried. No business arising under new business COVID-19 update. Kathy, you can deal with that one?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what you have in front of you is a proposed application for local businesses in the downtown core, being Broadway Avenue and Mission Road. The permission to utilize municipally owned land for a temporary sidewalk patio. So we came up with this idea because we know that many businesses in our community have been closed for a significant amount of time, and many have been negatively impacted from the COVID pandemic. So what we are recommending is that we would allow owners to utilize a portion of our sidewalk to establish a temporary restaurant or patio. And we would provide this at no charge to those businesses to help them increase their business. So what we're recommending is that the patio would be permitted to use that side or part of the sidewalk that would leave at least six feet of the sidewalk available for the traveling public or for the pedestrians or individuals with scooters. And that would be like 2 meters from the back of the chairs to the curb area. Any of the patios must have reflectors at either end to show that they have items sitting outside so that nobody gets hurt. They'd be required to put in some type of barriers to identify the area that's in use, whether the barriers are installed with ropes or if they put in a temporary type fencing around their area that they're using. All the patio furniture that they're using must be sturdy and heavy enough to withstand winds so that they don't blow away and become a hazard to those in the area. The patio cannot have any type of electrical power to it. The patio cannot increase the maximum occupant limit to their current building. If they use umbrellas, those umbrellas must be at least 7 feet high above the walking surface so it doesn't interfere with individuals going by. They must also provide or ensure that a fire extinguisher is available. And if they decide to use any type of heaters, it must meet provincial regulations. These patios cannot obstruct any fire hydrants, any fire connections, or fire rescue to the buildings. Any individual who wants to utilize our sidewalk would be required to complete the application and submit it to our chief building official for approval. And then once approved, they would be permitted to proceed with putting in their patio or temporary patio. And of course, they'll have to provide us with the location of their patio diagram, the width of the area that they're using, how many tables and chairs they're putting out. Provide us with a WSIB certificate, a copy of their business license, proof of insurance. And if the applicant is a tenant in the building, then they'd be required to provide us with a letter from their landlord stating that they're in favor of this business using our municipal sidewalk. This would only be permitted until October 15th of 2021. And this is just again, to help those local businesses. We're also considering offering those restaurant businesses the loan of 1 picnic table from the municipality free of charge. However, they would have to make the arrangements through our Director of Community Services and Tourism, arrange for the pickup and delivery at their own expense and using their own equipment. We would not provide that service. And that pretty well covers that. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Kathy, how can we be sure that it's 6 feet? Like, have you measured it? It just didn't look like it was 6 feet.
Actually, our CBO did go out and check and to ensure that the area that is left for our usage or for pedestrian passage is a minimum of 6 feet. And if it isn't, they have to move their railings over.
So somebody's checked.
Yes,
Okay, that's good.
yes.
Maybe I missed it when you're going through everything. Are the customers allowed to use facilities inside Washington?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
No smoking outside, right?
Absolutely no smoking.
Good, well, thank you. It's nice to see activity.
And also, one other thing that I'd like to add to this is that we do have a motion on the regular meeting
Mhm.
to approve that we're permitted to do this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item 7.2, Alex, report for the month of May. You wish to comment on your report first, Alex?
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just go over some of the highlights of the report, and then obviously if you have any questions at the end, please let me know. The first thing I'll start with is we continue to operate the community's vaccination center. In May, they kicked it up to 2 days per week, and again, kudos to the staff of the Lady Dunn Health Center, Algoma Public Health, and all the folks who are helping out, because that's been extremely well run in our community. So that's been just a little bit extra for us to keep up with and make sure that things are sanitized before and after while they've been taking care of it during. So we're glad to see so many vaccines be rolling out to the community, and we're hoping to see more in the coming days, which will hopefully give us back to a little bit more closer to normal in September.
Alex, you tend to drift out. You're very strong at the beginning, but then as you carry on with your report, we're losing you.
Okay, I'll give it a shot to be a little louder there.
Thank you.
Okay, we're also looking at reopening the community center and what that'll look like. So we're still going through several sets of documents to see what we can do, what we can't do. And essentially at this point, we've decided that we need to write another reopening plan for the facility. So that's something we're going to continue to do throughout the summer. Hopefully we'll have some limited reopening in stage 2, but of course details will come back to council about what that reopening plan looks like for approval. In the meantime, we've been doing a pile of work to try and get things online and do as much as possible while having this facility still closed, except for vaccines. And so far we've had a pretty good uptake on that. So included in the report are some statistics on the participation in what we're doing. And of course, this is the May report, but recently in this month, we've been doing the participation challenge, of which we hover around 4th place in all of Ontario, which is excellent out of 300 communities. So we're continuing to serve the community in an online or a not in person in the community center way. We've got some good news on the capital project side. We've finalized details for the lighting installation at the community center. We're still working with the particular donor on recognition, but I'm happy to say that that project has been fully funded, and we'll be able to let the community know who exactly participated in that fairly shortly once we've finalized with them how they want to be recognized. And I think lastly, there's some information there about what we're looking at doing for Canada Day. We're working with the Goose Nest Market because, of course, we can't have an event that's very recreational in person, but we're looking at some online options, some community challenges, some community pride events, and working with the Goose Nest Market to do things in conjunction with that July 1st market, which has seen some really good uptake and participation from the committee that works on the Goose Nest Market. Any questions?
Councillor Tate has a question. Go ahead, Pat.
Alex, I'd like to talk a little bit about the capital project section. We had applied for a $3-point-some million capital dollars. Is it fact that we lost out on that money because we do not have a strategic plan for the community center?
There was a couple different factors, but the one that they listed for me right now was that particular funding application was oversubscribed. So they had about 10 times as many asks as they had cash flow. So that wasn't the reason for that particular application. But I think what you're referring to, Mr. Tate, is I've had conversations with the NOHFC regarding an application for the community center for the future. And what they've said is one of the supporting documents that they require a community have to submit that application is a community strategic plan. And as our strategic plan expired in 2018, I believe, that they're looking for us to have an updated plan that identifies priorities, including the community center, before they would consider our application.
Yeah, because I'm looking back through even back to 2019 budget. And part of our plan and that was for the community center was back then to replace the flooring and replace, repair the tube heaters and to improvement to install an LED sign in front of the building. So it seems like we're jumping all over the place in our dollars and projects. So going down the road, are we gonna get the blueprint or the strategic plan together to know where we're going with this community center? Because we kind of pick projects, but then we change and go a different direction. Like even the banquet floor, if we don't replace the ceiling and the leaks, why would we replace the floor? And that would be in your strategic plan.
Yeah, so I think part of the reason that we see some jumping back and forth is because often we're tailoring a project to a particular funding application, where some things could be eligible and some things wouldn't be eligible. But I think, to speak to your point, the best example of that would be us reinforcing the asset management plan with the portions of the community center that haven't been fully fleshed out in the existing part of the plan. So that's something that we're working with the finance department on, and Cindy in particular, is to really flesh out the arena portion of the asset management plan to do exactly what you're talking about, to have a really good direction forward as to the assets and their priorities within this facility.
Yeah, because we talked about these LED lights, both in the curling rink and the community center ice surface. I think since I've been on council now, and now we're going to private funding, which is great. I mean, that's good. But it's just that if we don't have a plan going forward, and I guess every department, a financial strategy plan as well as a parks strategy plan, as well as a community strategy plan, infrastructure, all tied into the asset management plan, we're going to be left out of funding. That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And also, I just want to mention that, but I'd like to mention is you did a really awesome job on that fish cleaning station in the marina. Everybody's complimenting you on that.
Thank you.
Some good to the topics.
Councillor Hatfield, did
No,
you have a question?
I got my
Okay.
question answered.
I had one question, Alex. The next couple of weeks, there's supposed to be millions of vaccines coming into Canada. Is there any indication that we may go to more than 2 days per week here in Wawa?
So as of right now, they've actually concentrated everything into one day. Really, what they have right now is they have enough space to accommodate people. The challenge is to coordinate all of the staff. And so what they've said is they've found it much easier to have all of the staff come in one day and make it a really long day instead of spread it out over 2 or 3 days. So they're doing a trial run this week. I'm told that tomorrow they're going to have about 300 vaccines to give out, which is the most that they've done in a single day. And so they're going to do an extended day tomorrow to try and get all that done and see how it goes. So the plan is quite fluid still. Depending on how many days they use, I think it'll really be based on how well tomorrow goes. So we'll cross our fingers.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, we'll move to 7.3, the tourism planning for 2021. Alex, you're also on that one.
Can I share my screen, Kathy?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
All right, can you guys see that presentation okay?
Yes.
Okay, can you still hear me okay, I guess? Okay, so this is essentially a presentation that is looking to update council on some of the activities that we have planned for 2021 and beyond. It primarily looks at two factors, which is the short term, which is what we're doing specifically this summer, and some of the stuff that we have actually already accomplished throughout the spring season, as well as the long term, which is 2022 plus. So what we're really hoping for and what we're looking at is now how do we recover the tourism sector from COVID? And that essentially starts now with planning and making some strategic decisions to move the community forward. So this year in particular, and you see attached to this presentation, there's a couple documents for council to take a look at with more details, but we're unveiling a tourism ambassador program. And what that essentially is we have 2 student positions that are funded through the Algoma Kinawabi Travel Association, which is the acronym ACTA, and they're traditionally for use at the Tourist Information Center. Of course, because we've decided that the Tourist Information Center will be closed for the season, we still wanted to take advantage of this funding and of these students to offer a similar service, but modified for COVID. So what we've recommended here is to adapt the travel counselors to an outdoor role as travel ambassadors. And the idea being that they'll serve the community through several sites. So they'll be given a vehicle, they'll be given some training, and they'll be given a couple different locations. So places like not only the Goose and the grounds of the Tourist Information Center, but also Lions Beach, Roses Beach, Sandy Beach, Scenic High Falls, some of the places where we traditionally see a lot of tourist activity, and be sent out to those locations to be able to interact with the public in a distance way, in an outdoor way, which has been shown to be safer for that type of interaction, but also be able to not only serve that community, but also gather information to inform some of our future tourism plans. Some of the biggest information gathering that happened in this community happened as part of the trail, which is the previous tourism plan. And that was more than a decade ago now. So we need some updated information on who is going where they're coming from, to be able to form a basis of some future tourism planning. We're also looking to this program to ensure that these sites are sanitized. So of course, over the last year or so, we've had to really increase the sanitization of all of these travel sites. And so these are another set of people who would be able to help us with that, but also act as another set of eyes in the field to make sure things are well maintained, things are presentable, and fundamentally things are safe, not only for the community, but also for visitors. In 2021, we're also looking at some signage upgrades, as well as doing our Broadway Beautification program slightly differently than before. And so what I've included in this presentation are some examples of things that we've been working on over the last couple weeks and months that we're implementing throughout the summer. So a couple years ago, we recommended and council approved a capital project for billboards, and that did a lot of the faded billboards that were outside of the community, but we left some of the ones that were closer to the community with the intention of doing 2 a year to get them all up to snuff. So obviously last year we did the waterfront billboards, and council has hopefully seen those on the way to our community. And the next worst faded that were close to our community were Scenic High Falls. So we've worked with a local graphic designer to come up with a design. This is a draft, but this is a design that's very similar to the waterfront look and feel. And that's something that we'll be recommending to council as part of our normal operating budget to do those types of activities. We're also working with the Goose Nest Market Committee to develop some signage for the market itself. And so this is another draft, just providing council with some examples of things we've been working on over the last couple months and how they fit into the bigger tourism picture. You guys also may have seen at the Tourist Information Center, this was installed just a couple weeks ago. It is something that we got free in our community as part of the Lake Superior Circle Tour. So this was essentially paid for by Superior Country, which is the Algoma Kinawabi of the other side of the lake, and they manage parts of the Lake Superior Circle Tour, including getting partners like ourselves some free signage to help us really talk about the area and the region as a whole. Also to be installed at the TIC at low cost in the municipality. This is through Destination Northern Ontario, and this is a replacement of the brown and yellow pillar that's outside with some updated and more modern signage. So we had a couple folks in our community give some input on what they would like to see on this sign, and this is essentially the final result that should be installed fairly shortly. We also worked on Broadway Beautification. This is something that's both tourism related and community related. We worked with the BIA on these planters, and as hopefully you guys have seen, they went out just last week, and we'll be maintaining them throughout the season as part of our beautification activities. So moving forward, now talking about the future, we're basically creating a plan for a plan, and that's part of the documents that were also attached to this presentation. We recommend the development of a tourism recovery plan. So this is something that Algoma Kinawabi is in the process of, and what we're looking to do is make sure that we have alignment with regional and provincial priorities, which helps us get funding, but also helps us work at leveraging their dollars for the betterment of our community. Some of the goals in creating the plan include engaging stakeholders, really getting a group of people who are interested, engaged in tourism around the table to tell us what they're looking for the municipality to do. Like I said, about leveraging industry organizations, making sure we're in alignment with regional priorities so that we can leverage some of those dollars, hopefully coming down the pipe. And finally, to create a community-driven plan, something that we can really sink our teeth into that has specific action items that's going to guide essentially how we recover this community from COVID. We recommend applying for funding to actually create this plan. So that's partially to boost capacity, but secondarily to hire a consultant who is an expert in the field and to make sure that we really get not only a plan that is valuable for funding applications, but a solid piece of guidance to staff so that we can follow it through the next 5 years. Currently, there is additional staff capacity at the Economic Development Corporation, but that support's for a limited time. And we expect that if we can get a grant to top up some of that capacity, that we can have a really solid plan underneath our feet for the community. So right now, in terms of the raw dollars and cents, the stuff that's happening this year is either covered within our operating budget that was approved by council, or it's things that we're doing as part of grants or funding opportunities that we've gotten from outside sources. The tourism plan, we expect to cost around $100,000. There's a couple different funding sources that we've identified, specifically the Tourism and Economic Development Recovery Fund, which is the TERDF, which could fund up to 50%. FedNor has also expressed interest in funding this, could be up to 40%. So ideally, we would get 90+% funding if we were successful in both programs, which would really limit the cost to the municipality directly. So I have some additional documents attached. I'm happy to take questions on any of them. They include our work plan for the ambassadors, a project brief, as well as an RFP that was jointly developed between a couple parties for future tourism planning. Any questions?
Thank you, Alex. Are there any specific questions for Alex? Go ahead. First, Councillor Kate.
I'd like to direct this question towards CAO Maury. We're making plans, which is great. We got to recover and all that. But is the timing right, or how does this fit into the Wayfinders report that we're waiting for this fall?
I think it'll fit in very well, but basically the Wayfinders group will be making a presentation to council in August with their findings from phase 1 of the report, which will focus on the organizational review. Following that, the Wayfinders group will begin to develop a strategic plan for the municipality, looking at all departments, all services and programs in a broad way, with, of course, community input on identifying some strategic priorities for council to consider in the short and medium term. So that process will begin in late August, early September, and will involve some focus group meetings, and I'll share that information with council in the near future. Having said that, I am sure from the comments I have heard and from speaking with staff and people in the community that tourism is going to rank high, or at least rank in a way that the community is saying, what is the municipality's role in helping with tourism recovery, and what is the municipality's role in tourism? Are we, as council examines the services and programs that it is mandated to deliver? Is it mandatory? Is it essential? Is it desirable? As council makes some difficult decisions about those services and programs that it's going to continue to be involved in, this tourism plan will help guide council with those answers, because we'll also gain community input and tourism operators input and businesses and the general public into how important do they think tourism is. So rolling this in to answer your question, by the time the terms of reference for the tourism plan are approved by council and reviewed by a few key individuals in the community, including the Algoma Kinawabi or the Tourism Association of Ontario. And we applied for funding. This tourism plan will not begin its process to be developed until 2022, because it'll take us the next 6 months to get through the funding proposal system and get a word positive or negative. So I would anticipate that the council strategic plan will be developed by October, November, according to Wayfinders, and this will flow after. I hope that answers what you're asking.
No, that's great. No, I just see how it's all gonna tie in now, so that's good.
Yeah, Alex, when you're talking about funding some of these projects, are you planning on funding for this summer?
So essentially, the plan would be to apply for funding in the next several months. So like realistically, our goal would be to apply for funding this month or next month. And then there's quite the process involved in waiting to hear what the results will be, seeing if other funding opportunities come out that we could apply for in tandem, things like that, right? So yes, we'd be looking at the application to be happening before the end of the summer, but the results of that application, as Maury kind of alluded to, would take some time.
Okay, thank you.
Alex, I just wanted to comment that the RFP I thought was very well written, very comprehensive. And I think once you put that out there, you'll get some very good feedback from that. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Alex. We'll move to item 7.4, the long-term financial planning.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Manuela.
Yes, speak closer to your mic, please, Manuela.
To move closer. Okay, in mid-May, pardon me, I had put out a request for quotation for our long-term financial plan as proposed in our budget. So, we put out the quotation to Grant Thornton, KPMG, and Watson Associates. Some of the deliverables that we asked for were the development of a 10-year plan, both capital and operating, to be implemented by this fall, probably towards the end of October. We're looking to develop policies related to debt, tax, and investment, develop financial indicators which would identify risk, some comparisons with similar municipalities, and we're requesting that the plan cover a 10-year period.
Are there any questions for Manuela?
Sorry, I was good until now, and now my asthma's kicking in.
Oh,
Manuela, would you like me to finish up the report if you're having difficulty?
Yeah, that would be good. Thanks.
Okay, give you a chance to breathe because you got a couple of other reports coming. So as Manuela was saying, we did the request for proposals, and we received 3 responses, one from Grant Thornton out of Thunder Bay, one from KPMG, and one from Watson and Associates. We had evaluation criteria contained within the proposal, and then a review team of Councillor Robert Rees, Manuel, and myself looked at the proposals and went through the evaluation system, scored the results, and as a result, we are recommending tonight the selection of the proposal from Watson and Associates Economists Limited for the development of a municipal long-term financial plan for the upset limit of $49,600 plus taxes. There was an approved budget in the capital budget of 2021 by council for the project to receive $50,000. We'd be just slightly over because of HST. And I believe there is a motion on tonight's agenda, Kathy, to accept the recommendation of Council Rees. That's all I think Manuela was going to conclude with.
Yes,
Yeah.
my apologies. Lots of
11
papers.
straight. Okay. Are there any questions regarding this? Yes?
I guess when we're looking at a financial plan, 10 years, I guess that's a strategic plan, right? Basically?
It includes certain components of the strategic plan for sure, and definitely will include conversations with council and staff about what the priorities are as they will be identified to plan for the future. So it'll involve the asset management plan, and also one of the rationales for the selection of this company. This company was the only company that contacted us and then followed through with Wayfinders to make sure that their plan would be released in concert with the Wayfinders plan, so they'd be looked at together.
So we got a financial, we got infrastructure services, we got community services and tourism. What are the ones we have?
Administration and treasury, like I would look at them as one
I'm
unit.
just wondering, now everybody's putting these strategic plans together, which is great. We know where we're going. It's a roadmap, it's a blueprint. Can we get them in one document like this after when they're finished? So that we can review them? Not be in every cabinet all over the municipality? So just like the budget, we'd have everybody's strategic plan and we can reference it. So we can also read our blueprint.
I can speak to that, Councillor Tate. One of the deliverables was that the 10-year financial plan not only be departmental, but a consolidated plan. So the report will be not only departmental, but a consolidated plan of the whole of the municipality.
That's easier for councilors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, and if I may add, Mayor and Councillor Tate, we are moving towards meeting certain goals and objectives as set out for council back in 2019. And we're on route to make sure that each department does an operational plan that aligns to its budget requests with council, that align to the strategic plan and align to the financial plan. So yes is the answer, and we're getting there. And these plans that we're still recommending to council, like the financial plan, we're halfway through the asset management plan, but we continue to include now the next section, which is equipment and machineries and buildings like the arena in that plan. That's still in development. Absolutely, we strive to eventually give to council one plan that will absolutely flow and make council's job a lot easier in terms of understanding what the priorities are, how staff is meeting council's priorities, and how much money it costs to achieve those.
And I think it's great for everybody, the municipality taxpayers and the directors, because they got a roadmap to follow. So they don't, they know in year 2, oh, we got to build a new bridge over here. So they already know that before that's going to happen. And you're always going to have your emergency things that happen, but generally your flow will be projected out, which is great. That'd be a pretty awesome document.
Am I to assume from what I heard earlier is that as they create the plan, they'll be reviewing the policies to make sure that the policies are updated and consistent with the new plan?
Absolutely, and we are deficient in some policies, so there'll be a policy review and then recommendations for new policies such as debt management or investment policies, so we can ensure that we're maximizing our investment and interest return. So yes, that's included in the study, as well as the Watson study. It's going to look at our water and sewer system, and are we really recovering our costs? So there'll be a lot of policy review and recommendations, I'm sure, to come out of the study for council.
Once
Very
you
good.
get all those papers together like Pat wants, I would love to spend a day going through those, or an afternoon, or however long it takes, because that would be really.
Absolutely.
Great. Are there any further questions? Thank you, Manuela. I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to that. That's very exciting. Item 7.5 on June 23rd in the morning. We have the opportunity to tour the new seniors building. There's one unit that's not filled yet. We get a chance to see that unit. Anybody who's interested, if you can See Kathy.
Next.
Yes, it's next week.
I thought I'd just go for fun, but if I'm available, I'll just come for fun.
Very good. Thank you. There's no in camera. Our next meeting is Tuesday, July 13th. As you know, we go back to our summer schedule, just one meeting in July and one meeting in August. Moved by Councillor Saison that we adjourn the meeting at 7:37. In favor? Carried. Thank you. We'll move right into the regular council meeting. Call the meeting to order. No members present. Councillor Reese is absent with reason. Disclosure of pecuniary interests. I have one disclosure. I, Mayor Ron Rhodey, declare potential deemed pecuniary interest on agenda item 11.1, item titled Receive Integrity Commissioner Report. For the following reason, I am named in the report. Approval of the agenda, we have a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Chason, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, June 15th be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. There's no delegations or presentations. There's the any announcements? None. Giving a notice. We have several meetings that note there. Adoption of minutes. We have a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Chason, resolved that the following minutes of the meeting of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a public meeting under the Planning Act held on Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, as contained on pages 1 and 2, inclusive of the minute book. 2, minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, as contained on pages 1 to 7, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence from the Ministry of Energy regarding the natural gas expansion program. Everybody saw the letter. I'm not getting any money. Consent agenda. We have a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Chason, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the items listed under consent agenda, items 8.2 to 8.5, be approved as recommended.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 9.1, receive staff reports resolution.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Tate, resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive the following staff reports, a copy of which are attached here too. A, CAO 2021-06, Planning Report, Red Pine Exploration, Zoning Bylaw Amendment. B, CC 2021-05, COVID-19 Update. C, AP 2021, Report for the month of May 2021. D, MB 2021-02, Long-Term Financial Plan.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. There's no business arising. New business 11.1. I'll turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Tate and me.
Would you like me to read the motion?
Is there a motion?
Yes.
Please.
So I'm just going to get Councillor Chason to move this motion. Moved by Councillor Chason, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive the report of the Integrity Commissioner, a copy of which is attached here too, and further that the report be posted on the municipal website.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
Here, I'll just go and enter it.
Thank you. 11.2, approve 2021 application for temporary use of municipally owned land for a sidewalk patio.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Tate. Whereas the COVID pandemic and the provincial government restrictions have impacted many businesses in the community of Wawa, whereby many businesses were permitted to have curbside pickup or takeout services only. And whereas the municipality of Wawa wishes to provide support to local businesses to allow businesses to use a portion of the municipal property, including sidewalks, to establish outdoor patios for the sale of their business items. And whereas businesses would be required to complete and submit the temporary use of municipally owned land for a sidewalk patio application to the municipality of Wawa and abide by the terms and conditions as set out therein. And whereas the temporary use of municipally owned land would be permitted until October 15th, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve the 2021 application for temporary use of municipally owned land for a sidewalk patio, a copy of which is attached here too, to support the local businesses within our community. And it is understood that there would be no fee for the use of municipally owned land and the loan of one picnic table to each restaurant located along Broadway Avenue and Mission Road only, excludes vending carts, wagons, and refreshment stands. The business owner would be required to pick up and return the picnic tables to the municipality of Wawa with arrangements pre-arranged with the Director of Community Services and Tourism.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. 11.3, accept staff recommendations, long-term financial plan resolution.
Moved by Councillor Tate, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Wawa does hereby accept staff recommendation as contained in Report MB 2021-02, Long-Term Financial Plan, and accept their proposal submitted by Watson and Associates Economics Limited for the development of a municipal long-term financial plan for a cost of $49,600 plus applicable taxes.
Questions? All in favor? Carried. Something I'm looking forward to read. And, I think it would be a great document for council and staff. Nothing on our notice of motion and bylaws. Now I'm just wondering, based on earlier discussions, whether we should sever 13.3 and vote on it separately. Is that possible?
Yes.
I would need a
Heard that,
mover.
Bill?
Yes, I would like to say that, yes. So I'd like to go on recorded vote on that one,
Okay.
please.
So if we can sever 13.3 and when you read the resolution, we will have a recorded vote. Do we need a friendly to sever?
Yes, I need a mover and a seconder, so
Moved
we
by
have a mover by Bill.
Councillor Tate and seconded by Councillor Chasson that 13.3 be severed and voted on separately. All in favor of severing 13? It's carried.
Okay, so I'll read the motion. Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Tate. Resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, and that this mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3402-21 to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 15th day of June 2021. Bylaw number 3406-21 to repeal Municipality of Wawa bylaw number 2796-04 and appoint KPMG auditor for the Municipality of Wawa and its boards. Bylaw number 3407-21 to enter an agreement with Red Pine Exploration Inc. respecting the site plan control agreement for the construction of temporary residential dwelling units. And bylaw number 3408-21 to authorize the sale of municipal land located adjacent to 312 Hardy Avenue in the Mishpacotton River Village in the Municipality of Wawa to Jason Goodwin and Katarina Goodwin.
Any questions on those particular bylaws? All in favor? Carried. Move to 13.3.
Moved by Councillor Tate, seconded by Councillor Chasson. Resolved that the following bylaw be introduced and read a first and second time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding? Recorded vote.
Yes.
Mayor Rhodey,
In favor?
Councillor Shason,
Not in favor.
Councillor Hatfield,
In favor.
and Councillor Tate.
In favor.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Appreciate the discussion on that. That was good. We have a resolution to go into closed session.
Moved by Councillor Tate, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that this committee proceed in camera at 7:48 PM in order to address the following matters pertaining to a legal issue. One item, marina operation is related to a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice the significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group, or persons or organization. Second item, a legal issue. One item, employee health benefits, labor relations, or employee negotiations. And the third item is a legal issue. One matter, purchase and sale of land, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board.
All in favor? Carried. We'll take 5 minutes and then we will resume.
Lori, we're still looking into the Billboard
Aye.
8:36.
Is there a solution? So to accept
Does hereby accept staff recommendation as contained in report MB 2021-03 and waive the requirement to obtain additional quotes. And further, the council accepts a quotation received from SSQ for employee group benefits for an annual cost of $191,088 or a monthly cost of $15,924.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next meeting was to be July 13th, 2021, but it might be June 22nd.
At
We
what
have,
time?
A special, so just watch out for that. We have a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Councillor Tate, resolved that the meeting close at 8:37 p.m.
All in favor? Carried.